Not only do I disagree, I don't like this man very much already. I really, really don't.
Okay.
I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me. Let me put it out there on Front Street. We all know he did an horrendous job when he was in Detroit. He was lucky to get the Philadelphia job. He had a good relationship with Andy Reid, ultimately elevated into being an offensive coordinator. And I'm not going to question his football acumen because the Detroit situation wasn't really his fault. It was other people's fault who will remain nameless at this moment in time because I don't feel like going into that diatribe.
Wait,
but let me be very clear.
Time out. Do you give him any credit for Michael Vick in Philly?
Well, listen, I'll give him some, I was getting ready to get to that point.
Okay.
I said I'll give him some credit with Michael Vick, and they did move the football, and he wasn't god-awful there. I'm simply saying, when you make a statement like this, it almost says, well, you know what, don't judge us by that. Mark Sanchez completed 54% of his passes last year. 54%. That's not impressive. That's not impressive at all. As a matter of fact, the only thing that made him look good is that his backup was some dude named Tebow who completed 46% of his passes at one point in time when he was a quarterback, even though he won a playoff game and threw for 316 yards and all of this other stuff. All I'm saying is this. I don't want to hear from an offensive coordinator who's new to this, who watched or didn't even watch from afar, but walked into a situation that was absolutely positively abysmal, telling us after the season that New Yorkers have been subjected to mercilessly, by the way, that, oh, completion percentage doesn't matter. Oh, yes, it does. It most certainly matters. Your ability to complete passes is relevant. Your ability to run an offense efficiently and effectively is relevant. You need to be able to complete those passes. You need to be a threat. Because if you look at the Jets roster, they don't have a bunch of parts to lean upon to say, well, you know what, we'll make the big play and we'll put up 21 to 25 points a game, blah, blah. Oh, no, sir. That doesn't work that way. So I don't want to hear that from this offensive coordinator. I don't want that nonsense. Completions doesn't matter. That's the most nonsensical thing. And, Skip, here's what's going to blow you away, Skip. Stephen A. Smith, national television. Let me tell you something right now. I will sit here and tell you, he actually did a disservice to Brett Favre. Brett Favre's name doesn't deserve to be mentioned in this. Yes, his completion percentage wasn't all that sometimes. But this is one of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history. A man that passed for over 70,000 yards. A man that went to 2 Super Bowls and won a Super Bowl title. This man's he's so annoyed me, he's got me up here defending Brett Favre. I mean, that's how bad it is. So, I mean, you know what? Just go ahead. Because I'm trying to be nice, and I don't want to say the wrong thing. But this is ridiculous.
I think you already said the wrong thing.
No, I didn't.
You just let your early dislike for Marty Mornhinweg turn you into a Brett Favre fan and defender and supporter. And I love it.
Ain't that something?
You finally saw the light. I appreciate that. Let's look at what Brett Favre did, Stephen A. 3 straight MVPs, 95, 96, 97. And as Marty accurately stated, the first year he was at 63%. The next 2 years, just below 60%. So he was a high 50% passer. And what did it matter? Because Brett Favre, all 3 of those years, led the NFL in touchdown passes with 38, 39, and 35. So the point is, even if you're only completing 59% of your passes, if a whole bunch of them are getting to the end zone, I think you're going to be okay. I think your team's going to be okay. Because you're getting it to the end zone more than any passer's getting it to the end zone. So, to me, when I first saw the headline on this story, what was my first reaction, Stephen A.? And you opened this door, so I got to walk through it. I thought he was reopening the Tebow door. I did. I thought, oh, he's making a case that who cares that during Tebow's starting stint 2 years ago in Denver, that he was a 46% passer because, as we all know, as we've heard on this show a couple times, last 5 minutes of games that year, the #1 QBR in all of football belonged to Tim Tebow.
As much as it nauseates me to agree, that argument actually makes a little sense.
A little sense.
But allow me to get back to Brett Favre for a second. This same Brett Favre we're talking about here completed better than 60% of his passes in 14 of his 19 complete seasons as a starting NFL quarterback.
You are good with that
computer. The same Brett Favre that we're talking about. That's right. The same Brett Favre completed, has a career average of 62% completion percentage. That's the Brett Favre we're talking about here.
Okay.
So to sit there and use Brett Favre as an example is atrocious.
Well,
Makes no sense
but
whatsoever.
he was using
And not only that, Brett Favre was a playmaker as a passer.
Sure.
So again, don't come to me and tell me completion percentage doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're a playmaker with your arm. But if it's not that, then you got a problem. We're walking into the Jets situation with an offensive coordinator that has this kind of mentality. I'm very disturbed by this.
Well, in the end, if you're right that the comparison is Favre to Sanchez, that's just pathetic. You can't condone what Sanchez did last year percentage-wise, saying, oh, he'll cancel it out with touchdown passes, because he won't. And again, I like the number, Stephen A. He did pick the 2 MVP seasons in which Brett was sub 60%. That's okay. But don't compare Mark Sanchez to Brett Favre and say, I'm going to fix Mark Sanchez. I'll have him throwing 39 touchdown passes next year, because you won't, Marty. I'm sorry.